Mr. Kruger. I'll be back in a minute.
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning.
For you, good morning was early.
What?
Didn't you get up early this morning?
Yeah.
Sorry I was late. I was correcting somebody's homework. And all of a sudden I looked up. I thought I had 5 minutes and I was behind by 33 seconds. A lot of people turned in homework. I was very pleased. Substantially raises your grade. I'm just going to wait a few seconds here. I'll wait 2 more minutes. If I can be patient and wait 2 minutes. We have a quiz due today, correct? 27 points. Am I right on that? Okay. Due by midnight tonight. Is that correct? Hopefully that's what I put on there. Okay. See how you can be silent and nod at the same time? I find that very neat. I'm not nearly as funny on this machine. I'm as funny looking, but I don't think I could be as quick-witted. But like my son Sam always says, Dad, the only person that thinks you're funny is you, and that's why it's funny. Andrew, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm not excited. Last week was so nice. I did so much biking. And this week's gonna be so cool that I don't know if I'll do any biking.
Where do you go biking?
Actually, on Saturday, my son lives in Hopkins, and we biked from Hopkins to Minneapolis and back. It was pretty windy, but it's just a beautiful bike ride, and they have really nice bike routes. Usually, I bike the Lake Wobegon Trail, like from my house to maybe Avon or St. John's or Albany or in that area. That's usually what I do. So my question is, did you guys receive the practice demo in your email?
Yes.
Yes, you did?
About yesterday.
Okay. So I would encourage you to do that. Okay? Make sure, because that practices everything you need to do about taking the test and submitting it. I have not done so. I haven't gotten my email yet, so I have to take a look. I'm hoping to do that oh, I'm sorry, I got off track. I am hoping to do that today. Okay, for sure by tomorrow. So maybe this evening. So I'm hoping that we take care of that. The other thing I want to talk about is So if you've been doing fine on my practice exams and you're happy with your grade, and you feel that it's not necessary to do the progress checks because you feel confident you're going to do well on the test, which is in 1 week from today. In fact, 1 week and 2.5 hours, I think, because it start. But oh, excuse me, 2 hours, because you got to start logging in at 12:30. Okay. Then what we're going to do when you're done. Oh, so I got to ask you this. This is what I was thinking. So Tuesday, I will schedule time if you feel you need to ask me questions at 10:15 or talk to me about something you're concerned about. Do you understand that? Okay. I'm not going to be going through anything new. There's probably only about, today is Tuesday, is that correct? There's only going to be a few things I'm going to talk about this week. I'll probably do that on today, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday will just be for questions, and then Monday, depending on what type of feedback, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do on Monday. I might have it open for questions. I might talk about a particular thing that I want to make sure everybody understands. I'm just leaving that open right now. The question is, some people have asked, what are we going to do after the AP exam? Okay. I am planning on not teaching any more new material. What I am going to do is, some people's grades probably aren't at the place that they want them to be. So I am going to extend the deadline for those progress checks. And you can continue to turn those in and ask me questions till you feel you've gotten a grade that you feel is adequate. So if you feel C is adequate and you say, I can get by with a C, that's fine. If some people feel that they would like an A and continue on and do those progress checks and I correct them and maybe need a little help, you can do that also. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? Okay. Does that seem fair? Because for some of you, you may have additional AP tests to take, correct? Because I think the first one is Monday is AP government. And I know most of you are juniors and don't have AP government. The next one is AP Calc, and then I think after that's AP Lit, which again is a senior class, am I correct? I think all seniors are in that. But I think you got AP US History, is that correct? When is that one?
The 15th.
The 15th. So then that gives you some time to be able to prepare for those AP exams. Does everybody understand that? Yes, sir.
You said something about a quiz due today.
Yeah, I believe so.
Is that just the free response number 4?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Those, I know I call those free response. They're the same as quizzes because they're worth a lot more points. You understand? And the idea is those are AP questions. And you go, wow, I'm a long ways from 90%. Well, you don't have to be at 90%. And that's what the progress checks are for, to kind of push that up. Does everybody understand that? And then I kind of, like the first one I originally had, I think progress number 3, or excuse me, free response question number 3, I had 18 points and I backed it down to 12 because I kind of, based on the scores, I thought that was more reasonable. So you'll see me do that. But the progress checks, since you have extra credit and they help you prepare for the AP exam, which is 1 week from today, 1 week and 2 hours. Okay. By the way, Adam Burton, I was up at 4:30 this morning because all I am is thinking about you guys. So that's kind of where I'm headed. So Landry, did I kind of answer that question? Okay. Yeah. I think this one's worth 27 points. Am I right? I'm not sure because BC has one too, and I can't ever keep the two straight. So I apologize for that. Ethan Galler is not on, is he? Oh, so you've been submitting some stuff to me for me to correct. And I have had no problem if, you know, if I was correcting your work, when you submit it as one page, like a JPEG, and it doesn't have to be a JPEG, but it's all written on a page and you've taken a picture and you send it to me, it's really easy to correct. When you send them individually, like problem by problem, that's more difficult to correct. So for the AP exam, what I would do as much as you could on one page, take a picture if that's what you're choosing to do, and then as much as you can do on the other page, and then take a picture rather than separate pieces. Does everybody understand that? And then I didn't know that, but your Apple phone, when it takes its picture, its format is HV something something. It's like high quality picture. Does everybody know what I mean by that? They won't, the College Board will not accept that. So what you have to do is go into settings, go to your camera, and you can change your format to JPEG. It says for common sending or something, and that's what I did. And if I can do it, everybody can do it. And I just went to settings, found my camera, went to the format, and rather than high quality format, I went to most common used format or something like that. And JPEG was one of the choices I could choose. Although I know they'll take JPEG and they'll take PNG ping or something like that. Does that make sense to everybody? Adam, you understand where I'm talking about? I see, I think you're looking at your phone.
You said this HDR, right?
So when I go to my camera and I go to settings, wherever that may be, and I look under camera, wherever that may be,
Okay.
and then at the bottom, it says formats. And there's a high efficiency and most compatible. My initial was high efficiency. I moved it to most compatible. And when I did that, it says under most compatible, it says to reduce file size, capture photos, videos in high efficiency, the HIF/HEVC format. You don't want that. You want the most compatible will always use JPEG. Okay, and that's what I chose. So if I were to do that, then I can send a JPEG. Did you follow that?
I don't have those settings, so I think I have a different style phone than you.
I have an iPhone 8 something.
This is a 6, so
Okay.
it
So
doesn't have
maybe
any.
it's sending it already in JPEG. I haven't had a problem with you, but there's a few people that are sending me into that H format, whatever that is.
I think mine saves as a PNG. I think that's what you said works.
Yeah, and that works fine. Okay, just make sure it's one of those that are on the document. Okay, you don't want to do fantastic work and them not be able to read it, right? Okay, and so if you could do as much as you can on one paper, and a lot of you have been doing it that way and sending me. Ryan Moylanen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, have you resolved the issue with the squiggle thing I used to get from you?
Yeah. I don't know. Like it saves like two different documents, one with a squiggle and one without. So I used to just click like the first one that came up because I thought they're the same. But
Yeah.
it turns out they're not.
Yeah, and I couldn't even open up the squiggle one.
Yeah.
And Sophia, I bought a notebook, a Rocket notebook, and that thing's awesome. I'm thinking that's what you're sending to me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that is. And if you guys don't know that, I look at one, I think and I'm not saying you need one for next week, okay? But I practiced it and realized it's like writing in a notebook. You have an app and you send it wherever you want. And it looks like a piece of paper. It's wonderful. And I've been doodling around, and if I can figure it out, anybody can figure it out. But
Is that something that we could use on the test?
yeah, I think so. I don't know why, because it gets sent to me in what format, Sophia?
PDF.
Yeah, it can be a PDF is a legal format. That's what I would use. If I were you, I would use that thing. I'd love it. I'm going to see if I can get it for my classes next year. It's wonderful. It's a handy dandy little deal. And if you make a mistake, you take a cloth and you wipe it off and you redo it. So if you haven't ever heard about it, Sophia showed it to me and I really like it. My wife thinks it's wonderful. I got her that for her birthday present. And then she got it for me for my birthday present. Alrighty. So did I answer your, did I satisfactorily answer the question of what's going to happen in 1 week and hour and 58 minutes? What's going to happen after that? Okay. And I'm kind of sad because it means, well, I don't see a lot of you because I don't know, you guys are afraid to look at me or something like that, but me look at you, but I'll miss you. But make sure you're watching your grades and making sure it's where you want them to be, and let's be prepared for this test. And bringing that up, I'm going to show you the problem I'm working on. And feel free again, and some people have been doing this, texting me problems or sending me pictures of problems, and I've been trying to solve them adequately. Continue to do that. All right, I got to turn this thing on. And now I'm going to share.
Mr. Kruger, what time is the AP test?
Okay, you're making me nervous. It starts at 1 p.m. You have to log in. You should be getting your ticket sometime 2 days beforehand. Okay, yeah, your e-ticket, and you got to click on your e-ticket a half hour before the start of the exam, so 12:30.
And how long does the test take?
It'll be 2 parts, 2 questions. First question is 25 minutes. The second question is 15 minutes. Between the first and second question, you have 5 minutes to attach your answer and submit them. Okay, and remember, you attach multiple documents and only submit once for every question. Does that make sense? So I could attach 3 documents for the first question, submit, and attach 2 documents for the second question and submit. You only submit twice, once for the first question, once for the second question. Does that make sense? And you only have 5 minutes after the end of each question to submit. Does that make sense? So if you want to talk about total time, 25 plus 15 is 40, plus 5 and 5 is 50. So 50 total minutes. Okay. And you want to show as much work neatly as possible. Does that make sense? And you need to be in a quiet place where you can concentrate. Okay, and if you have multiple users, see if they can be off the internet for those 50 minutes. Well, actually longer than that, because you got to be on a half hour prior, right? So it's 80 minutes when you add all that up, okay? Just see if you can get some designated time. Did I answer that question okay? All right. Okay, let's see what I got here. Let's see if I can share this with you. Oh, that wasn't it, was it?
We see an ABC question.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. That's because the user is not figuring out what he wants to do here. Okay, you see an ABC question? I came back to a table. You haven't seen this before, correct? Adam, have you ever seen anything like this before?
Not this exact one, no.
Okay, but something similar, right? You're starting to see some things that are fairly common, right? And so
Right.
they tell you you have functions f and g, and they're continuous, and they have continuous second derivatives. So here's f, here's the derivative of f, here's g, here's the derivative of g. And then it says the table gives values of the functions and derivatives as selected values of x. So there may be more values of x. They're only going to give you these 4. And so one of the things I think about when I go through these, okay, and you may want to notate this, it's up to you, but f of x gives you y values. So these are the y values of f with these given. So I have a 0.1 comma -6. I have a 0.6 comma 4. What these are, the derivatives here, are the slopes of the tangent lines at these points. So the slope of the tangent line at 1 comma -6 is 3. The slope of the tangent line at 6 comma 4 is 5. Now G has these x's, but these y's. So its point is 1 comma 2 and 6 comma 3. And the slope of the tangent line at 1 comma 2 is 8. And at 6 comma 3 is a -1. So sometimes I think it's helpful to take a look and at least get into your head what in the heck these values mean. All right, so now it tells you that let k be a new function equal to f of g of x. So we call this a composition. We have g inside of f, and it writes the equation of the tangent line of the graph of k, which I have no idea what it looks like at x equals 3. So it's a problem we've seen before, and I need to know some things. I need to know what 2 things atom to write an equation for the line tangent to the graph of k. What 2 things do I need to know?
The point and slope.
I need a point. So right now I have 3 comma something, correct? I need to put 3 into k, which means I'm, by definition here, I'm going to have f of g of 3. So I can find the value of g of 3. So I'll come up here, here's 3, here's g of 3. Again, here's 3, here's g of 3 is 6. So I know that k of 3 is equal to f of 6 because g of 3 is equivalent to 6. So now I go back to the table, I go 6. If I input 6 into f, I get 4. So that means k of 3 equals 4. So I have the point 3 comma 4. So I know the equation of my tangent line right now is x minus 3 plus 4. And I'm hoping now everybody understands this notation. I can always check to see if I'm correct, and I do this simply. If I put 3 in for this x, will I get 4? And I do. 3 minus 3 is 0, and I'm left with 4. Now I have to figure out the slope. So I have to figure out the derivative of k. Well, I have to figure out the derivative of this. Actually, I have to figure out the derivative of this. And the derivative of this is you take the derivative of f, you do not fool around with what's inside there. But I multiply, because of the chain rule, g prime of x. This is the definition of how you take a derivative of a composite function. You should have notes that you can refer to on your test, which is going to happen in less than a week, 6 days and 20 some hours, and I'm not going to compute it. So now again, I'm going to plug in 3 and for x. So I'm going to have f prime of g of 3, which I figured out before in a previous problem, and g prime of 3. Well, g of 3 I said was 6 up here. So now I'm going to have f prime of 6 times g prime of 3. F prime of 6, here's 6. The derivative of f at 6 is 5. So this is 5 times g prime of 3, here's 3. Here's g. The derivative of g is 2. And I get 5 times. See how this is arithmetic and I don't need my calculator? This is exactly what type of problem they could give you. There's a lot of things you need to know here. Now, Adam, I'm stopping here because I'm afraid if I take 10 times a negative 3, I'm going to write 7.
Right.
That could happen because I'm nervous. I'm stopping here because I don't want to do anything crazy. Because this is the correct answer. I have my point, I have my slope. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. I'm picking you because I see you. All right. B. Now, Madeline, these people are crazy. Now they come up with a brand new function, h of x. And h of x is equal to g of x over f of x. And they're asking you to figure out the derivative with 1 Well, we got to figure out the derivative first. What rule are they, Madeline, do you think they're checking here?
Probably the quotient rule.
Exactly, the quotient rule. So I'm going to go, if I forgot the quotient rule, I go to my notes, but I don't need to just because I'm older. So I'm taking f of x and I'm going to square it. I'm going to write f of x up here times now the derivative of g minus g times the derivative of f. Sorry, I got sloppy. So now I'm going to plug in 1. I'm going to have f of 1, and I'm going to square that, whatever that is, I don't know yet, times f of 1 times g prime of 1 minus g of 1 times f prime of 1. So now I got to go to my table to find my values. So here's 1. F of 1 is a negative 6. A negative 6 is squared is 36 because it's negative 6 times negative 6, correct? And negative times a negative is a positive. So again, I have a negative 6 times, now here's 1. I need the derivative of g at 1. So that's going to be this 8 minus g of 1, which is 2, times f prime of 1, which is 3. So 36 and negative 48 minus 6, and I get a negative 54 over 36. Now, Madeline, once I get to here, I'd stop. I wouldn't stop here. I don't trust them. And I don't trust me simplifying that, even though I really, really want to because it bothers me. Okay. I know I get negative 6 over 4. I think it's a -3/2. That's what I think it is, but I don't need to do that. Because they're going to take whatever your last answer was. Does that make sense to me? And you are not wrong here. So all that work we had you guys do in elementary school about simplification, and I've had you do in the fall, don't worry about it now. Okay? All right on that? I thought that was a good problem to do. All right, the last one is this. C. And I'm going to write C here. All right, this one's a little tricky. Landry, what makes this tricky for you? The whole thing, or
I think I got it.
you think you got it? You want me to walk me through this? Do you feel confident to do that or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could use the fundamental theorem of calculus.
Yeah.
And take f prime of 6 minus f prime of 2.
Yep. There's one little, that's what I would do too, but there's one little glitch. Okay. So you're saying
Oh, is it times by 2?
Okay, let's talk about that. Okay. You are saying that the antiderivative is f prime of 2x, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if I take the derivative of this,
It went, yeah.
I should get that, correct? Would you agree?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it 1/2?
That's what it's going to be, because when I take the derivative of this, I need a 2 in there, don't I?
Uh-huh.
And there's no 2 here, is there?
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is there needed to be a 2 there because of the chain rule. So that meant there had to be a 1/2 in there originally.
Got it.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yep. That's what. Yep.
Okay, so you are going to have, using the fundamental theorem of calculus, you are going to have f prime. And I'm just going to write a little bit more. What you wrote was not wrong, except for that 1/2 part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm going to have 1/2 f prime with 6 in it minus 1/2 f prime with 2 in it. Was that what you were going to tell me, except for the f prime?
Yes.
Yeah, and you could have done f prime. I could factor out the 1/2 and do take the f prime of 6 minus the f prime of 2, and then, but I'd have to take 1/2 of it, right? Because I could rewrite it like this. Maybe I'm giving you a little bit more than what I need to do. Are you okay with that, Landry? Yes? Landry?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yep.
Okay. So what did you get for f prime of 6?
Can I see the table?
Oh, I'm sorry.
F prime of 6 is 5. F prime of 2 is -2.
So we get 7/2.
Yep.
Again, I think this is a good problem of what they might ask you on the AP exam. You really have to have a pretty solid knowledge on the calculus. You needed to know the quotient rule. You needed to know the chain rule. You had to know the, how to figure out the antiderivative of this, and they give you a table. But the arithmetic is easy, right? Relatively. And so I think that's I think this gives you a flavor. I'm not saying this exact question or this type of question here, but the flavor of the type of question you could have would be on here. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's why I'm working a lot on tables and graphs, because I think that's where they're headed. Okay. Do you guys have any particular questions at all? Okay. So I am going to let you go, and I'll come up with another one of these types of problems for tomorrow. Okay. In the meantime, if you have any specific questions or any specific topics you want me to talk about to help you out, please text me or email me, and I will bring it. If you have them, other people do. Okay. And you guys may even be communicating among yourselves. All right. All right. You guys have a pleasant day. I got to stop sharing. And we will see you tomorrow. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit. If you have more questions about the test or the class in general, you can send those to me also. All righty. Take care.
Mr. Kruger, can you upload the video from the 30th?
Oh, I thought I did that. 30th was what day?
Last Thursday.
Oh, I thought I did. I will do that for sure. I'll do that today. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll see if I could do it right now, in fact. All right. I thought I had done that. Okay. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Kruger.
Yep.